Part 1. The Early Years. Memories of who I was and where I lived are important to me. They make up a large part of who I am going to be when my journey winds down. I need the memory of magic if I'm ever going to conjure magic again. I need to know and remember, and I want to tell you. Robert R. McCammon, Boy's Life. Prologue. I started writing my autobiography at the age of 10, way before I became an actor, a movie star, or an award winning performer. I unconsciously stored vignettes of memories of my family, my early childhood, and encounters with other actors, directors, and performers in the years to come, soaking in every experience. I have steeped myself in the adventure of living in the highs and lows, and most importantly, in the arduous, exhilarating, and creative process of acting. Because I have lived my life so fully, I developed an almost photographic memory of most events, recalling at will both big and small encounters, and events, visuals and voices, sounds and smells. It is pure magic that my autobiography is now organically gaining a voice, shedding light on the people who have touched my life and holding a mirror to my existence, a pulsing cord that links the 10-year-old to the person I am today. Aptly summed by the legendary Colombian writer Gabriel José de la Concordia Garcia Marquez, who wrote in his autobiography, Living to Tell the Tale, life is not one what lived. Life is not what one lived, but what one remembers, and how one remembers in it in order to recount it. In my mind's eye, it all started with the survival instinct of being born into and raised in a lower middle class family. Reading the renowned Russian masters like Maxim Gorky or even Charlie Chaplin, I realized a major impetus was their resilient instinct to face life at every twist and turn, overcoming every hurdle with grit and determination. Even today, I remember how special it felt when, at the age of 3, my maternal grandfather, Lambodar Kak, gifted me a gold coin, though I did not fully comprehend its worth. I remember everything vividly, and have forgotten almost nothing. The first time my mother slapped me, and my first day at school. The first time my class teacher bet me with a cane, my first love, my first rejection, the first theatre role I got, the first film role, my highs and lows, the successes and failures. As I narrate my life, it's not a flashback, but it's a pulsating alive and in the moment. I am living it in telling it. It is not presented as a one dimensional photograph, but as a happening, breathing, evolving, multi dimensional moment to be shared. Retrospect gives its own perspective. In March 2016, I received the prestigious Padma Bhushan from the President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, in the glittering, spectacular, and hallowed halls of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. On that occasion, I was elated by a sense of achievement but also humbled as I held the award in my hand, poised at the pinnacle, savoring the moment but remaining grounded as I recalled my roots from where I had sprung. If I were to sum up my life in what I hold dearest to me, I would choose the strength of family, vitality of optimism, and the energy of creative processes. My chosen career melts all three in a way that enriches both my performance and my persona. At every turn, one or all of these have been my beacon, illuminated my pathway, pulled me back from the abyss, propelled me to dizzying heights, and made me the person I am, the entity the world knows as Anupam Kher. My childhood was shaped by living with my grandfather, Pandit Amarnath Kher, and I infused a lot of him into my first major film role in Mahesh Bhatt's Saransh, The Essence, portraying both his physical and mental characteristics. My family and film career blended seamlessly with Saransh, a watershed in my life, and after years of struggle and disappointments, this film launched my career, my stardom, and my first major award. I recall as if it were yesterday, the day I delivered the Mathura shot for Saransh in 1984. My first shot was a slow motion scene of me getting the news from America that my son had been murdered in a senseless act of violence in a subway in New York. Director Mahesh Bhatt had briefed me that a dramatic sequence was to be played. As to how the phone rings, I pick it up and hear a voice from the other side say, "आपका बेटा मारा गया है." your son has been murdered, and what my expression should be for the camera. In any case, I was obsessed with the story of the film, with the role of B.V. Pradhan, and for the particular shot, I distilled all the frustration, all the heartbreaks, all the humiliation that I had faced through the years. Even after the shot was completed, it took a lot while to shake off the pensive mood from my psyche. The shoot was to start at 9:30 that morning. As the set was being prepared, I went up to Mahesh Bhatt and said, "Now that we are launching the film, which I was thrown out of and signed back, and a story of uncanny destiny that has appeared in later chapters, I would like to know what demonstrates my character, the defining emotion of B.V. Pradhan, because I want to make that emotion the most encompassing one. It is disappointment, compassion, love. What is it? Who is B.V. Pradhan? How do you summarize his spirit?" He answered simply, "Compassion," and that became my guiding path. Saransh was not my personal obsession. It was a gift to prove myself, to make my dreams a reality. During the entire filming, Mahesh Bhatt was too passionate about finding his groove, having done the film Earth before this in 1982 with Shabana Azmi, Smita Patil, Kulbhushan Kharbanda, and Raj Kiran in the lead. Whenever we spent time together, whether traveling during our morning walks or on the sets or on the office, anywhere and everywhere, all our conversations centered on the film. We would reinvent the scenes, recompose and rewrite them. This is how the iconic scene where Pradhan goes to the customs office to collect the last remains of his son was conceived. It's a scene that has been discussed thereafter. A pivotal scene that is both the essence of protagonist and the one that spotlights the core of the tragedy. Many, including critics and film buffs, later said to me, "So you too got into method acting." The reality is that though I am trained actor, when I perform, I tap into a reservoir of personal associations that ring true to me. I had to cry out helplessness and frustration in that crucial sequence. Initially, I was at sea as to how to bring that scene onto screen without being melodramatic. I was not married at that time, neither could I relate to the loss of a son. How could I dramatize my feelings on receiving the ashes? Instead, I created my own reality and gave free rein to my imagination. As I grappled with the creative process, first the sequence from Francis Ford Coppola's as I grappled As I grappled with the creative process, first, the sequence from Francis Ford Coppola's Godfather, based on Mario Puzo's book, came to my mind, where Marlon Brando, on seeing his sonny boy's bullet-ridden body, says, "What have they done to my sonny boy?" What a scene! Truly iconic. That look, that expression by Brando when he looks at the body of his son is worth watching the film over and over again. But as I mulled over it, I realized that my scene was totally different. I had to come up with something more nuanced before Pradhan's grief, because Pradhan's grief builds up as he is shunted from officer to officer, room to room of a corrupt system to get the same reply: "You have come to collect a TV, go to the upper floor." Finally, he meets the Assistant Commissioner of Customs. "Pradhan, I have come to collect my goods, not to beg nor to," gets interrupted by the officer who says curtly, "Look here, mister, everyone comes here for this TV." Gets interrupted by Pradhan. "I have not come here to collect any TV. I have come here to collect the last remains of my son. A father has a right to his son's ashes or not. Or for that too I have to give a bribe downstairs. Would you have the time to get me my son's last remains?" It's a brilliantly crafted scene where the surprised element is when Pradhan says, "The Assistant Commissioner of Customs, I have not come to collect any TV. I have come to collect the last remains of my son." Initially, I was not able to strike the right emotional chord for the scene. I feared that the outburst would ring false instead of being the highlight of the film. So I told Mahesh Bhatt, "I'm turning my back towards the camera. I will prepare myself, and when I give a signal with my hand, take it that I'm emotionally ready to give the shot. We will try that out and take it in one shot, no retakes." Kudos to Mahesh Bhatt. Kudos to Mahesh Bhatt, who without any hesitation Kudos to Mahesh Bhatt, who without any hesitation placed his trust on a young upcoming actor. When I turned my back towards the camera, I was not thinking that B.B. Pradhan's son had died. I evoked the emulations, the slights I had encountered, the hardships that my father had faced trying to raise me, just let me to realize my dream to be an actor. I felt the pressure of everyone waiting for me to perform the dramatic scene, acutely aware that this was not I was not thinking that B.B. Pradhan's son had died. I evoked the humiliations, the slights I had encountered, the hardships that my father had faced trying to raise me just to let me realize my dream to be an actor. I felt the pressure of everyone waiting for me to perform the dramatic scene, acutely aware that this was my do or do die chance to prove myself. The summary of my feeling reached a crescendo when I gave a signal with my hand to Mahesh Bhatt, and the camera rolled as I turned and emoted my scene, giving it my all, spurred by my past feelings, sadness, homelessness, sleeping on the railway platforms, losing the love of my life, all humiliations, big and small. It was not a shot at all, it was only one take. It flowed as a passionate, remarkable scene, and even though I say it myself at the risk of sounding like I am boasting, I still think that it is one of the 10 best scenes of all time in Indian cinema. Saransh means a great deal to me at a personal level too. It taught me how to live a life. It gave me my guiding principle, empathy. It opened the doors of my heart and my mind to understand another individual's point of view. Saransh offered me not just a great platform to perform, but it became a trajectory for the future. It gave me a life to live and directed me on how to live the life. B.V. Pradhan has lived with me since in countless ways and deepest thoughts. It is both a blessing and a bonus that nearly 35 years later I am becoming like Pradhan. Though Pradhan did not believe in afterlife, while I am a firm believer in karma, his honesty, audacity, and the complete absence of fear as he took on an entire system without seeking to be popular is a great lesson for me. Today, if I am able to speak up for my country, vocalize what I believe is right or wrong, it's because of what I have somewhere embedded from BB Pradhan. I am emboldened to take a stand, learn to live with being dubbed politically incorrect, since BB Pradhan taught me to stand up for what I think is right or wrong. Being in his character took a lot out of me, but fulfilled me to in ways that go beyond words. I was a 28-year-old boy born in a disadvantaged family in the remote town of Shimla, who was able to catapult beyond his circumstances and become an actor without borders. Teachings from my grandfather, Pandit Amarnath Kher, have seeped into my spirit. Most of my childhood went by, and I never even realized that we were poor. I had learned the most important lesson that is even more priceless today: money does not buy you happiness. A good storyteller starts at the very beginning, and I have an interesting story related to my birth that leads me to believe that mine was not just a routine birth. I was a destiny's special child.